Can an Advanced Wars by Web player tell if a Days of Ruin CO is good or not? How's it going, guys and gals? This is Advanced Warrior here, and welcome back to another Advanced Wars by Web player guesses how good Days of Ruin stuff is. This is part 2 with a previous guess that I just had in the previous video. Elagatua. How's it been?
It's not been that long, so
it has not. It has not been that long. Where we are recording this on the same day. It's just that it's like what, 6 hours before. Yeah, just 6 hours earlier as we're recording this. So
afternoon session, evening session.
Yes. So in the previous video, Elagatua Elagatua was reacting to terrain, and as well as giving some guesses for how good some of the units are. So now we're getting to probably what I was looking forward to the most, the COs. I am going to show Elagatua all of the COs, and he's going to try to guess what tier they would be, and at the end of the video I will break it to him how close or how far he was based on like a tier list that me and a few other people have basically said, basically agreed upon how good a unit is. So I'm going to explain again. The way that you can get your power in Days of Ruin is if that you take a unit, and when you buy it from a base, the next turn you can board a CO in that unit, and that unit will become a veteran unit actually. So it's going to get 20% offense, 20% defense, and also creates a zone with its own unique strength. Like we'll do Will, for example. As you can see, the boarding cost is 50%, so on a tank it will cost 3,500 to load Will into it, and has a zone radius of 2, and the zone expands at 30 damage and 60 damage. Damage is the same for all units. Let's say you one-shot an infantry, that is 10 points of energy. You do 5 damage to an artillery or whatever, 5 damage, 5 points of energy, and it goes to 3 when it is at 30, and it goes to 4 when it is at 60, and that's when you use your power. And the power is an action, so you cannot attack with a CO unit and then use your power. This has to be doing the actual CO power, and it makes the whole CO zone global basically, so all your units have the day-to-day, and the power also gives some bonuses depending on what the CO is. Are you getting the idea of that?
Yeah, this all sounds familiar. You kind of explained this off stream, so
yes, I did.
The basics in my mind, although I've never seen it in practice. So
yeah, so
we'll see how it goes.
We'll see how it goes. So conveniently, we are already on Will, so you have mouse control. Feel free to look at it at your own pace.
All right, let's get a look here. So we got our day-to-day. All units in the CO zone get Von Bolted.
Mm-hmm.
Get the plus 10 offense, plus 10 defense.
Basically.
Ground direct units in CO zone get plus 20% offense. Okay, so it seems like he wants to smash tanks around his CO unit.
I would like to clarify this also stacks. So ground direct units are getting 30% offense.
Okay.
And
got it.
Not just tanks. Do you?
Does it also for infantry as well?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
All right. Ground and direct. The only application.
Got it.
Artillery and battlecopters would get Von Bolted, basically.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like but everything still gets that defense. So that's pretty nice.
Yeah. The defense is equal for all units.
Yeah. Okay. So that makes sense to me.
There is no cop.
There's no cop, and there's a superpower. All right. And so we get some global. We get Von Bolted again. I guess this is kind of global Von Bolt right
yes.
now. So we turned into Von Bolt for a turn.
Mm-hmm.
and then we get plus 20 offense and plus 2 movement. So it's kind of like a little bit of a block rockish.
Or max.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so this is the max super basically.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The playstyle at least makes sense to me. I don't think I can give this guy a tier yet because I need to see some more to have this to compare to, but I feel like I kind of understand his gist, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. So yeah, we'll just do the first 3, and then we'll go back and he'll start tiering them, and then we tier the rest. And at the end, I'll reveal what I would give him. So yeah, you did pretty good. Does he impress you? Does he sound like a fun CO?
My initial impression is that this might be mid to low tier, but it kind of feels like mid. It doesn't seem super broken to me.
Okay.
But all right. It's simple, right? It's not super complicated, so it's hard for simple things to be really broken usually.
I see. All right, so I have these kind of in a slightly hand-picked random order. Next CO we're going to look at is Gage.
All right.
I think the info is the same for all, just 50% boarding cost, 30-60 zone expansion.
Sure, yeah. All right, so we got our day-to-day, plus 10 offense, plus 10 defense. So that's just for... Is that the same?
Yeah, that first part's going to be the same for all units.
Okay. Oh, okay. So do all COs have just kind of the
all
one bolt in the
yes. If you're inside a CO zone and it's yours, 10%.
Okay. Good to know. All right. So we got indirect naval units in CO zone. Okay. So this is kind of an indirect guy. So, all right. Plus 20 offense, plus 10% defense. All right.
Completely forgot about the naval.
Yeah. I can't imagine
I
that
can
anybody
understand.
would forget about the naval bonuses.
I understand it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this feels like grit a little bit. So we got a global von bolt again, which is kind of similar, and then see it seems like the main thing here is that our indirects get plus 2 max attack range.
Yes.
Obviously with the global boost. Okay.
And also the naval units, not indirects, but the battleship is obviously one that you'll think of when you see Gage.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. So indirects plus 2, naval boost as well. Initially, this feels substantially weaker than Will, but let's see how I feel after the third one. Okay, the third one is a funny one. Here we have Waylon. Probably has the best CO theme in Days of Ruin, in my opinion.
Well, I'll have to rank the music another time.
Oh yeah, definitely. Either on your own or together, that would be fun. Because I haven't done it myself yet. All
right. Okay, so we got air units. We got a very, very manly eagle. Wannabe. Can't all be eagle though. All right, so we got air units plus 20 offense and 30% defense. Okay, so that's pretty serious. So these copiers are going to be pretty cracked.
There's no cop again.
Yeah, no cop. 300% defense. Holy cow. Okay, so basically his air units essentially get a turn of invulnerability. That's kind of what it feels like.
Something like that. I think if there's a unit that deals 100% damage to an air unit, because defense is calculated differently, I think it does like 24 damage out of 100.
Sure, but in for all practical purposes, it seems like the air units are not going to be very easily killed with 300% defense.
Yeah, they're gonna live.
Okay, well I think so. Right now, I think that that Will is better than Waylon is better than Gage. That's my feeling. So I'm just going to kind of pencil these in.
You're saying Will? Will is
Yeah,
better
Will is
than...
tier 2.
Okay.
We're going to put Waylon as tier 3, and we're going to put Gage as tier 4.
Okay.
We're going to start there. I don't know, depending on...
If
I find somebody who I think is worse than Gage, I might shift everybody up a tier, but for right now, that's where we're going.
Okay. All right, but yeah, again, this is for fun. You have. I will say you do have decent ideas of what these seals do. I will say that now. You have a decent idea of what their strengths are.
All right. Well, let me finish digging my grave before you tell me how far I've dug.
Nah, I'll pull you it out. I promise.
All right.
All right.
Pull me out at the end. You throw me a ladder.
This a rope. This one's fun.
Maybe.
This is Deegis's favorite seal.
Okay. Unaffected by weather. Okay. That's it. Unaffected by weather.
Oh, I forgot to show you the ranges too. Yeah, you do need the info. I'm sorry. Waylon has a zone of 2. So does Gage. Will also has 2. Penny has 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for the weather, that's not really something that's come up before.
Yes. So weather, there are only 3 weathers in Days of Ruin, and they work very, very differently to the trilogy. Snow, all units have 1 less movement, no matter what. Rain is, I would say, the most complicated. If it's a standard game, it turns into Fog of War. But if it's already Fog of War, all properties and enemy... Okay, so all enemy units will have 1 vision. And all your properties that give vision no longer give you vision. So they're like normal Advanced Wars by Web cities. Radars don't even have vision. And remember, if you move through a spot, you're gonna keep the vision of where you move through, even if you have like 1 CO zone. And I think your flares still work normally if you shoot a flare out.
And so, what causes the weather effects to start? Is it just like random every turn?
It's if you set it to random, then yeah. In Sandstorm, reduces the enemy attack by 30%. So basically, so if you're on the receiving, if you're on Sandstorm, it feels like you're fighting Kanbei without the firepower bonus because of how the defense is calculated. It feels like you're fighting Kanbei, defense Kanbei.
So what causes the weather effects to change?
What do you mean causes them to change?
So like in a standard game, so you mentioned that you can set it to random. What is the standard like for fog? Like what do people?
The standard for fog, no one has random weather. Like Advanced Wars by Web. Like the handhelds, it's an option to set the weather to random or certain weather. In competitive Days of Ruin, there is no weather. Like Advanced Wars by Web.
So then this doesn't seem like it would affect much, at least the weather, based on the settings.
Did you read everything?
I've not read everything, but I'm just talking about the day-to-day. If there's no weather on the map, then I just want to make sure I'm understanding this right.
Oh, you'll understand it if you read everything.
Okay. So I should read the scope then, right? I see. Okay, randomly changes the weather conditions for 3 turns. All right. And so it's basically only for your opponent, essentially, because you're... Oh, I guess you're unaffected by weather for only 1 turn.
No. No, I think Penny technically has the real day-to-day where weather just doesn't bug her, even if they're outside the CO zone.
Oh, right. Okay, so it's not a... Yeah,
it's not a zone. It's not a zone.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Oh, it says it right there. Units in the zone get the 10%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I got it. Okay, so yes. Now it makes much more sense.
Yes,
so,
that's why I wanted you to read everything.
Sure, but I was right to ask. Interesting. This is pretty tough to rank because I feel like it's real hard to gauge the how effective the weather conditions are without seeing it. Because it seems like a pretty complicated mechanic.
Okay. But what would you say is what do you think is the best case scenario Like out of rain, snow, and sandstorm, what do you think is the best for her?
Well, Sandstorm seems incredible.
For 3 turns.
If you're the global... So, okay. When it says randomly changes the weather conditions for 3 turns, is it going to change
It's the same. It's the same for all 3 turns.
Okay, got it. That's what I was asking. So yeah, if you get Sandstorm, your opponent basically is going to have a terrible time attacking you for 3 turns, which is insane. That's like a really long time.
Mm-hmm. And remember, not much for her day-to-day. They just become Von Bolted.
Yep.
Right,
yeah,
so,
that's true.
So what's the comfortable tier for you?
To me, it feels around tier 2 to tier 1. I'm not completely sure. So part of me doesn't like a CO like this because it feels like a lot depends on what weather effects you get from your power. Because I think the rain... I guess the rain is going to make the vision bad. I guess snow is not as bad as the other 2 in my opinion.
Oh, you'll keep if it's a standard game and you get rain, Penny keeps the normal fog vision that anyone would get in a regular fog game.
Right. Yeah, I mean the power is insane, I think. I'm gonna go with tier 1.
Tier 1?
That's yeah, I'm locking it in as tier 1.
Okay.
But
all right.
this one's harder to rank than the other ones have been.
Yeah.
I feel less confident about this.
I see. But if you want to go back, you can always do that.
Of course, but that's where I'm going for now.
All right. Up next, we have another popular one here.
All right, we got Lynn. So, CO Zone 1. So that's like adjacent units.
Adjacent units to her.
Okay, so ground units are crazy that are right next to her.
And remember,
and that's all ground units. So it's not just melee; it's ranged as well.
And remember, if it's just a tank by herself, 10% from the CO zone, 20% from the buff, and another 20% from the veteran bonus. That tank is a 50% boost.
Yeah, so she can seems like she can really make one unit very, very formidable.
Yes.
Which seems like that would be very good for building charge as well. Alright. Ground units, wow. +2 vision, it can see through hiding places. Okay, this is tier 1 at least, in my opinion.
Okay.
At least tier 1.
Tier 1?
This is, to me, I'm confident this is probably the best CO I've seen so far.
Oh, okay. Even with a CO zone of 1?
Yeah, because to me, the CO zone of 1 is less of a... Well, so let me clarify. If her unit destroys an enemy unit, that builds her own charge, right? It doesn't have to be just like a... Yeah. Yeah, because to me, it seems like it's mostly for her unit. And if there's like an adjacent unit that also does damage, like that's just gravy. But like you send her in and you wall break with her, and I feel like it's much easier to build charge with her than it might be for other COs.
I see.
That's my impression of that.
So you're giving Lynn a tier 1?
Tier 1, yeah, and at least tier 1.
Okay, I respect that. All right, up next we have probably not my most favorite, but my most fun CO to play. Look at this man, Greyfield.
Look at his medals. He's got so many medals.
Read the zone.
Yeah, so he's got a very big zone. 3.
Can't wait for you to see this.
Oh boy, we got naval. Okay, naval units, seaplanes, battlecopters, and CO zone. +10 offense, +40 defense. Okay.
Yeah. So a 20/50, basically.
Yeah. Okay, and then recover all fuel, ammo, material. I'm assuming this is basically like a Jess power, right?
Yes, even with material when you build a temp airport or seaplanes.
Okay. All right. To me, I'm looking at this, and there's no way this guy can be above tier 3. It's either tier 4 or tier 3. I'm just trying to think about how good the copters are.
2050 copters.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts. I'm gonna go tier 3.
Tier 3?
Yeah, I'm going tier 3.
Tier 3 for Greyfield? Alright. Respectable. Also, one thing I forgot to mention, all units, like ground and air units, can also be loaded on the HQ as well.
Loaded on the HQ.
Yeah, so remember how I said, oh, you build a tank that you use the next turn to load the CO and then you can move it off the base? Because you load it from the base. Air units load from air, naval units load from sea, and ground and air units can be over the HQ, and then next turn you can load the CO in it. Mm-hmm. I guess like if the HQ is closer to the front lines, and you know you're about to lose your CO unit, you can always like park a tank on top of the HQ, and when that dies next turn, you can load that CO, and it can be in the front lines much sooner than deploying it from a base. Yeah. Right. Up next for you, I have another Forsythe to be reckoned with. Please tell me you get that reference.
I don't, unfortunately.
Dang it. Fire Emblem.
Okay.
That's okay. That's okay.
Which Fire Emblem is that? I haven't played all of them.
Echoes.
Which is it?
Echoes. Shadows of Valentia.
When did that come out? Was that the most recent one?
No, that's a 3DS one. I think
it's a 3DS one. Okay, I missed. Gosh, it's been a hot minute since.
It has been a hot minute.
I'm pretty sure I didn't. I think I missed that one on the.
It's okay.
There's another Fire Emblem.
Yeah, it's okay if you miss the reference. I could probably show you later, but yeah, here we have Forsythe.
I mean, I do my best for jokes. Okay, so we got a really massive radius here. 5. That's really big. Okay, so we're double von bolting it because so he's just going to make his entire death ball really strong. Mm-hmm. And it's a pretty large area. And he's got no powers.
No powers.
This is like the most von bolty von bolt I've ever von bolted. Okay, this seems solidly tier 2 to me. Might even sneak into tier 1. But definitely, I don't think he's below tier 2. This guy seems like he's like very straightforward to use, and sometimes simplicity can be really good in a CO. I'm gonna lock him in at tier 1.
Tier 1 for Forsythe.
Yeah. Yes, I'm really split between tier 1, tier 2.
Okay.
I'm really split.
Gotcha. I understand that. Okay,
I feel like I haven't put too many into tier 1, so I've kind of forgotten how I've locked them all in.
I see. All right, so I just had to make a cut. Forsythe is is being put in tier 2. Yeah. I should have written down what Elagatua has been putting down, just so I could, surprise him at the end.
I feel like I slotted a bunch of people into tier 1, and actually my tier 2 was a little bit empty, so I was pretty borderline on the tier 1, tier 2. So I'm just going to fill out my tier 2 a little bit.
I see. Gotcha. All right. Okay. All right. Next one, everyone's favorite, Brenner. Everyone's favorite goody two shoes.
All right.
Boy Scout, I guess.
Mr. Astronaut Air Force. Right. All right. So we got a 3 radius. So he's got buff defense. All right.
For all units.
Yeah. Oh, it's just in the CO zone.
Yes. Yeah.
He's got a repair. He's got repair. All right.
I will say now, I think he's the only one that can repair his units.
Andy grew up. Wow. Okay. This to me, this feels like there's no way this is above tier 3. I might even put him tier 4.
Tier 4? Or
I'm thinking about it. It's tier 3 or tier 4 for sure. Yeah, you know, let's give Gage some company. Let's put him in tier 4.
Tier 4 down with Gage.
Yeah.
All right.
I feel like he might still be a little better than Gage, but I'm not sure.
So tier 4 above Gage at least.
Yeah, it's kind of some of these tiers are a little bit wishy-washy.
A little bit wishy-washy. It's not perfect, but it's all for the content.
Yep.
All right, now my personal favorite CO, like my most favorite CO to play as, Isabella.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we got a radius of 2. So we got our normal CO zone. New bonuses. So she's like Forsythe with a smaller range and an actual superpower.
An actual superpower, you call it?
Well, I mean, didn't Forsythe not have a super?
Yes. Forsythe did not have a super.
I feel like the comparison is legitimate. All right, so we got movement buff and an indirect buff.
Yes, so we got a little Gage here. I mean, a little Jake here.
This is tier 3 or tier 2. I'm leaning towards tier 3.
Tier
That's
3.
what I'm locking in tier 3.
Tier 3 for Isabella.
Yeah. The thing that I'm unsure about is like it feels like the smaller range might make it more difficult for her to build charge. But she feels very balanced. Okay. And so I don't know. Part of me wants to bump her up to tier 2 because I feel like she's almost maybe even a little better than Will, but I'm right on that 2 to 3 line. I'm gonna leave her in 3 for now, but I might have regrets. We'll see.
Isabella tier 3. All right. All right. Next up, we got a very interesting one. That is Tabitha. Some people love her. Some people hate her.
Okay. Well, we've got a no CO zone. So I'm assuming this is just for her unit. Then,
yes.
Right? Okay, so she's like the cracked version of Lynn, where her unit is like really important. All units become insane for the superpower. 8 HP unit to all units in a 2 radius area. Randomly targets highest HP or fun enemy units. So
basically
I'm
a meteor.
Yeah. Interesting. Boy.
Yeah. And remember, it's at 2 zone. Her zone is at 2 when you get it up to 60. So that's the scary death ball.
That is true. I mean, the superpower is insane. I feel like it's maybe the best superpower that I've seen, other than the penny kind of weather thing, which I think has the potential to be very, very insane as well. I think this is tier 1.
Tier 1 for Tabitha.
Yeah, I'm going tier 1.
Even with the tiny zone, you just think the buff is just good enough?
I think it's one of those situations where you got to keep her alive, but if you can reliably get to superpower, then it feels really game winning.
Yeah, and remember, her CO zone is 80% offense and defense.
Yeah, it's wild. Like I feel like her unit is just going to be one-shotting stuff all over the place.
Most units, probably.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like it's not crazy to think like this unit could build up to super.
Okay. All right. So we have 2 more, and then we have the big reveal at the end. Up next, we have what I've seen this joke online before. I've seen this joke as the love child of Sammy and Eagle.
Okay.
Tasha.
All right, so this is Becky Lynch if anybody likes wrestling. All right, so we got a base radius of 1. Okay, so this is air units. Get really high offense. All right, and then air units get offense and movements. This is a tough CO to rank because it feels like she is very map dependent, more so than a lot of COs. Because it feels like she wants. If air units are not good, like you should never pick her. That's kind of what I'm feeling. And so I don't really know what to do with her. I'm gonna put her at tier 3, but I feel like this is it could really swing depending on the map.
Okay, so tier 3 for Tasha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see. All right, and the last one of the dozen, we have Caulder.
Okay, so he's got a radius of 2, and he's healing everything in his zone.
That costs funds.
Okay, got it. So it's a repair. It's not a heal. It's a repair.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. And he's got no.
Yeah, no power. The second the second CO to have no power. And if you look again, it does not expand.
Okay. My initial thought was tier 4.
Tier 4 for this?
Yeah, my initial thought was tier 4.
Oh, really?
This seems pretty underwhelming. That's I'm just gonna lock that in, like tier 4. It just feels underwhelming. If it was +2 every turn with like half funds, maybe I might feel differently. But I'm not buying it. I feel like
I see. Gotcha. All right, so that is all 12 of the COs. You can feel free to look through any of them, or we could just like skim through all of them. Again, something else I feel like I should have mentioned: powers do not occur as much as Advanced Wars by Web.
Yeah.
If that wasn't obvious to you.
Yeah, I kind of got that impression. And that's
good.
It's hard to get a feel sometimes for how broken the powers are because I don't have a good grounding for like, is it common for a game to go by where there's just like no superpowers at all?
Yes.
Yeah. So to me, it can make the day-to-day potentially much more important.
Gotcha. Yep. All right, so we're just gonna go through the list again.
With that, I'm a little worried that I might have overrated Penny a bit. But,
I see. Do you want to change her? We can always go back. So hold on. Brenner. Okay, so you put Brenner in tier 4. You're fine with that?
Yeah, I'm sticking with that.
I
think the only one I want to change is Penny.
Okay.
I feel decent about the other ones.
Okay. Isabella is tier 3. You sticking with that? This is a scout.
How many do I have in tier 2? I don't know. She was on the line to bump up potentially.
You have 3 units in tier 2. 3 COs in tier 2.
3 COs in tier 2. Yeah, let's move her to 2. That indirect max range is pretty strong. I feel like.
Okay.
These are the superpowers. Sorry, let's see the data.
Oh yeah. That is. I was just.
Yeah.
I thought the superpowers would be easier for you to remember, but.
Well, the thing is, like, the thing that I really want to focus on is the day-to-day.
Okay.
Because, I feel like the superpowers are a little bit unreliable, and if I actually let's keep her in. Let's keep her where she was. Let's keep her in tier 3.
Tier 3, back to tier 3. All right.
I'm gonna stick with myself.
All right, you can shift over to Lynn if you want to. You have Lynn in tier 1. CO zone of 1. Reminder.
Yeah. I still am sticking with that.
All right. You have Will in tier 2.
Yeah. Pretty straightforward. CO seems seems like a brawler.
Forsythe is tier 2 as well.
Yeah, simple. I mean, I even wonder if maybe he might even be higher than that. He's kind of on my 2 to 1 line, but we'll stick with this for now.
Okay, Gage, you have at tier 4.
Oh yeah, tier 4.
Tier 4. Tasha, tier 3.
Yeah, tier 3, really situational. Really situational.
Okay. Greyfield at tier 3 as well.
Yeah, a little bit situational as well, kind of depending on how useful copters are.
Or naval.
Right. I have no grounding for how common naval combat is in Days of Ruin.
That's fair.
Advanced Force by Web, it is non-existent.
Non-existent, yeah. Waylon at tier 3.
Yeah, seems fine.
Caulder at tier 4.
Yep.
Penny at tier 2.
Yeah, I think I feel better about that.
And Tabitha at tier 1. The 0 zone.
Yeah.
Alright, so the numbers are in. Alright, so you ready to see how you do? How you did?
Yeah, I'm ready for your meta to adjust to match my reality.
And again, this is like a loose leaf rating that I have talked to, that Gage agrees with, and I've talked to Plague about it. Plague also agrees with it, and I agree with his list as well. So don't take our tiers for granted, but this is the general strength idea that we have for the COs. Alright, so Will, you put Will at tier 2.
Yep.
I would argue Will is actually tier 1.
Okay.
I think the strength of Will is the fact that because he's dishing out so much damage, that charge is going to come a lot easier, and especially with a zone radius of 2. The way I see it, if you're attacking a single unit, that CO zone can go attack it, and then there's still enough zone for another unit to be next to it and kill that unit, and you can get that full 10 charge. And even if you don't kill units, you're still getting a lot of charge because of the damage. I played a game against Plague. I think the most that I got from a single turn as Will was like 45 energy from a single turn. It's just really, really easy to get the super with Will. So that is why we say Will is tier 1.
Okay, I buy that. I feel like I wasn't very off on that at all.
You're not very off. I'll give that to you.
Yeah. The first 3 COs, I think I had them in the right order. We'll see.
Okay, so Gage, you put Gage at tier 4.
Yeah.
Gage is arguably a tier 3 CO, believe it or not.
Okay.
One thing I do want to say about Gage, even though he's let's say mostly indirect, even though he's like an indirect CO, you don't want to put Gage in a indirect himself. You want to put him in either a recon or a tank or a mobile unit. So let's say you have an indirect and it's already in range, you can fire, and then you can move to another one and that will get the boost and it will fire. I think the problem with Gage is that he's not really like Grit. Like Grit's really strong for the indirect bonus, the range bonus. Gage doesn't really have that range bonus, and naval units are, well, in some maps you can see them, but they're not that game changing. So, but indirects are still strong enough, with the CO zone, more likely to death ball. And I think that's what kind of gets Gage up to tier 3. I would say a low tier 3 though. Waylon, you'll be happy about this. Right on the money, tier 3, I would say. Yeah. While the slight offense boost and the defense boost is really nice, especially when you get something like this, I think it's just really hard to try to make air units work because they're more expensive than tanks. So that is like 45,000 if you're putting Waylon in a copter. So you're gonna need like a ball of air units. Although you can still get energy from other units as long as they're inside the zone. You can always get that, but it's just not that strong enough, and it's hard to get it because it's fragile to most things, other copters, anti-air, dusters, fighters. So like I don't usually see the 300 boost being used a lot.
It's one of those situations where the fact that you chose him as your CO makes it's like you're making it really obvious what your strategy is going to be, and so your opponent can adjust their composition based on what you're likely to build.
Yeah. Funny story, this reminds me. Gage had a game against a Waylon, and Waylon popped a super, but when Gage killed the CO unit, the defense was just gone. You can cancel a CO power.
You can cancel a CO power.
Yeah, that's funny. So yeah, Waylon tier 3, not bad. Penny, I'll give this to you because I would say Penny is like, you said Penny's tier 2. I'll give you like a high tier 3, low tier 2.
Okay.
Versus the tier 3 units, which is Gage and Waylon. But I do feel like Penny does have a better chance. She's more versatile than both of them, obviously. Because it affects all units, and because it's a zone radius of 3, you do get more chances to get charge. Not the same as Will, when he has like a lot of damage to get that charge, but Penny just has a bigger zone. But the day-to-day is just very minimal. It's literally the minimum. Yes. There's like no CO that gives you 0% offense and defense when it's in the zone.
Right. If you can't get her power, it's rough.
Yeah, but with a zone of 3, I would say it's not too hard to get her power. Oh my god, I played against Gage. He got Sandstorm. Oh man, it was not fun. But yeah, because of how strong that Sandstorm is, I do bump it up to tier 2. Lynn, you said Lynn is tier 1.
Yep.
Lynn is actually tier 2.
Okay, that's not too far off.
That's not too far. I think while Lynn is very strong, I think the problem is she's gonna have a very hard time trying to get her zone to grow. Because even though like sometimes you can one shot, I think Lynn tank can one shot an infantry on a city. And then, but nice thing, you can put an artillery right behind that Lynn tank, and it's gonna get that 30% offense. Which is like a strategy I see some people use with Lynn. While it's really strong, it's just the zone is just a little small to make her tier 1. But tier 2, I would say Lynn is at best. Probably high tier 2, in my opinion. Okay. Greyfield, you said Greyfield is tier 3?
Yeah.
Greyfield's like tier 4.
Tier 4? Okay.
He's like near the bottom of the list.
Yeah, that's what I meant with situational. Like, it feels like if he's the copter guy, right?
He's a copter naval seaplane kind of guy.
If that comp is not viable on a map, like you would never ever pick him. It's like, to me, it feels like a Rachel or a Lash in Fog, where it's like, you would not pick those COs under normal circumstances unless the map had something there.
Yeah. Although I will say, there are some maps where I do feel like he is a tier 1, honestly, surprisingly. But yeah, tier 3, again, I think the same problem with Waylon is that copters and naval units are just really expensive. Like, his cheapest option is a gunboat, but you're not going to put Greyfield in a gunboat. I would say like more flexible is the copter. Again, that's like 4,500, but they do survive a lot, I will say. I would say Greyfield's best maps would be if they have a body of water as well as high income. We have Settles as Still Waters in Tiny Wars, our own version of it. And it is like a high income map, and I kind of pop off with Greyfield a little bit on that map. Another one I'll show you, Rice or Noodles, is like full of bridges in the middle, and that also gives Greyfield some viability. But again, very map specific. Overall, tier 4.
Okay.
All right, up next, Forsythe. You said Forsythe is tier 2?
Yeah.
I would also agree.
Okay.
I would say the strength of Forsythe would come from smaller maps, where there's more area to cover with his very large CO unit, and you don't have to worry about losing the CO unit because you don't gain any charge anyways. You can simply pop him into another unit, and it will do just as well as the last unit. Like some people even put Forsythe in bikes because they're cheap and they're mobile, and you just have them move around and try to cover the most with his 20% boost, which is sort of significant.
Yeah.
Brenner, you said Brenner is tier 4.
Yeah.
That's a stinker. Brenner is more like tier 1, arguably tier 0.
Okay.
Yeah. Just,
Well, I was doing good until then.
yeah, bro. Imagine trying to break through this death ball. With a zone radius of 3.
defense.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Brenner has like 50 defense. You're not killing that CO unit. Or if you are, then that's very freaking impressive. But yeah, the fact that like you can like stay healthy, and when they stay healthy, of course, they're going to get that 3 HP healing. And like I said, he's the only one with a super that heals. Yeah, Brenner is just insane. I would say that that Brenner is the only other CO that can challenge the only tier 0 CO in this game.
Okay.
Yeah, you got tier 0 in this game. It's Isabella.
I didn't put anybody into tier 0, but I wasn't really confident enough. I didn't seem like anything was super broken, but it's hard to tell with these. The CO meter is so different.
That's okay. Really that's okay. Again, this is all for fun. I had a good laugh because you said Isabella's tier 0.
Okay.
You said she was balanced. I had to cover my face.
When I said she was balanced, I was talking about balanced between like getting movement, like balance between direct skills and indirect skills in terms of like game balance.
I see. That's what you mean. Should have specified that because I really wanted to laugh when you said that. Yeah, Isabella's arguably tier 0. 20% for everything, and unlike Forsythe, actually has a power. Yeah, like 20% is also decent enough for most units to survive.
I think I was like borderline on tier 1, tier 2 for her, right?
You put her tier 3.
I put her at tier 3? Okay, I was like tier 2, tier 3, man. Maybe I thought she couldn't gain power very easily. I'm not sure.
Nah, 2 zone and 20% offense and a little more defense. Yeah, she's here.
Man, I tried to retcon that. You just shot me down.
I'm so sorry. I got this written down. So yeah, Isabella, tier 0, and I would say Brenner is the only other CO who I would argue has a chance against her. Maybe Will. Tabitha, you said Tabitha is tier 1?
Yeah, I feel way less confident in that now after seeing some of these other ratings.
You're on the money.
Okay.
Yeah, a Tabitha zone. When you're up against a Tabitha, you have to play a completely different game. You do not want to let her get charge. You do not want to let her get free hits. And when she gets to 30 energy and she has zone 1, the game's probably over. Yeah, she's like, it's just like so insanely strong. Like, I just reviewed a game with Tabitha, and the opponent was just trying their hardest to not let Tabitha get any free hits, because I think in the game, they literally gave up a capture that they were going to get. They gave up a capture because Tabitha was just ready to move in and probably like do a lot of damage to it. I think they're at like 25 energy. Obviously, they're getting more than 5 damage off that, and she gets a ZO zone of 1.
Yeah, she's got the crazy superpower too. Yeah.
Actually, most people do not use her superpower.
Interesting.
Yeah. If you use a super, you go back down to 0.
Sure. Okay. So you just want that plus 60.
Yeah. She's more of a day-to-day CO, but she can snowball if you get her to at least 1. I'm gonna pull up a map right now. It's called Second Heaven. The fronts are on the opposite side of the map, and the bases are kind of far apart too. I guess you could think of like, oh no, you don't play standard. I can't say blood on my hands, but sorry, but yeah, the bases are so far away The best thing you probably want to do against the Tabitha is to probably either give up a front or send most of your forces to deal with it. But if you're doing that, then your other side is weaker, and she could probably just send a decent-sized army there. Yeah, it's a completely different game against Tabitha. And I hate playing against her, even in casual. Some people love her, some people hate her. I hate her with a passion.
All right.
Tasha, you said Tasha is tier 3?
Yeah.
Tasha is more like tier 4. Probably.
No, I was leaning on the bottom side of that for sure.
Probably worse than Greyfield. Probably the bottom of the tier, like the very, very bottom. I think the problem with Tasha is, one, not much defense as Waylon and Greyfield, so they're like probably going to take a lot of damage or even get killed by an anti-air. And also 40% offense is not really enough. I think with 40% offense, you can one-shot a tank on roads, and it is a roll to one-shot a tank on plains.
That's rough.
Yeah, so it's like, it's a very small CO zone that's not even good enough, and she's basically a glass cannon. Yeah.
Yeah, this is what I was saying when I was saying she's very situational, right? Like, because when you're a very air-focused CO, if air's not good on the map, then it's just, you would just never, like, regardless of what tier she is, you just never pick her.
Yeah. Even if it's on like a good air unit map, I haven't found much success with her.
Okay.
All right, Caulder. You said Caulder is tier 4.
I'm in tier 4. Yeah.
I'd probably put him like a high tier 2.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like 25, like slightly stronger than Isabella's. But the fact that you can like heal up some of the damage to keep your units in the fight. And I think 25 defense is also decent enough where it's going to be hard for you to break through and kill the CO unit. Because if you like leave any alive, they're just going to come back up slightly stronger, and they're still going to be in that CO zone boost. Therefore, yeah, I feel like Caulder is just very tricky to kill. And like Andy, you want to kill his units and not leave them up for the healing. You want to hear something funny about Caulder?
Sure.
Just like Sturm, this is a nerfed version of Caulder.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Oh my god. Dude, he has a CO zone of 4, and the HP to heal is 5.
I feel like I remember something about that, about there being really crazy healing during the campaign.
4 zone and 5 healing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the AI was kind of sucky because I think if you like just stayed away from that front, you barely dealt with it. And when you did, you probably had a big enough force to deal with it. But yeah, I would say you got one.
I had a few misses, but I feel like the majority of them I was not too far off. Like I had the right idea for a lot of them.
I think you got like 4 out of 12, very likely.
I was off by 1 on a handful more than that too.
Yeah, you were very off on Brenner and Caulder. I guess you kind of.
Brenner, Caulder, and Isabella were the 3 big misses. I think. I feel pretty good about the other ones.
Oh yeah, Isabella was a big miss. I think you just underestimated healing, probably.
Well, it's really hard to gauge because, again, it's like how much do you value the day-to-day versus the superpower? Because I don't have any grounding for like, or any intuition for how those mechanics are gonna actually play out in practice.
Yeah, but this is just for fun.
Of course.
You have a general gauge of the CO strengths now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a hilarious reaction when I misunderstood what you said about Isabella being balanced.
Yeah. It's balanced as long as I get to play her and you don't.
And I'll play as Brenner, probably close enough. Yeah, I think that's gonna do it for most of it. How do you feel?
I feel like I did okay. I feel like I had a tough assignment, and I flubbed some things, but I felt like I give myself a B, a solid B. Yeah, that's where we're going.
I guess a B as well.
I'm a B tier. B tier blind picker.
B tier blind picker. Yeah, it's a very very different game than the trilogy of Advanced Wars by Web. So has this possibly intrigued any potential future interest for Days of Ruin?
I feel like I'm obligated to give it a game at some point. Right now,
you're busy.
Right now, the thing that's holding me back is just personal time.
Yeah, me too.
Many of you know I have a young kid, and actually when I started playing Advanced Wars by Web, he was not born yet. So the first about the first 40 games or so of Advanced Wars by Web were before he was born, and since then I've had to kind of streamline things a bit. So that's what happened to my Global League career at least for now. So I'm trying to focus more on just casual games and tournaments, but it seems cool, and I definitely love to kind of understand new game systems. Just professionally, I enjoy kind of learning game design and things like that. So it's intriguing for sure.
Yeah, well, we will definitely see in the future. Maybe not. Who really knows? But yeah. Do you have anything you wanna to shill again?
Yeah, sure. I can show my YouTube if you want to improve yourself playing Fog in Advanced Wars by Web. My channel is a really good place to have really in-depth videos. I'm going into a lot of details about new maps, CO strategies, my thought process as I go through my games. Pretty much anything you would want to know about Fog, I cover at some point. So give it a look if that's something that's intriguing to you. But it is only Fog, so sorry, Standard and High Funds people. You're never going to see any content on my channel. It's never going to happen.
New video. I forced Elagatua to play Standard.
Yeah, you.
I'm not
a pretty good set of handcuffs and some threats. I think.
Not a huge fan of Standard myself, honestly. I like the Fog is more fun.
Yeah, it's more fun. Preaching to the choir. So.
Preaching to the choir.
Anyway, that's my channel. So if that sounds interesting, give it a look. But I hope this was interesting, and I enjoy going through all these COs. And please don't roast me too hard in the comments.
Please, or me if you disagree with my tiering of the COs. All right.
Yeah. Any supporters of my new tiering, like let me know. Like maybe we should update the actual existing tiers with what I think could be.
Oh, I completely forgot.
Isabella tier 3. Let's go. Like
I forgot to tell you. You ban COs in competitive Tiny Wars. Yeah, you pick 6 to ban, and if both of you ban the same CO, they're banned for both COs. You don't ban it for the other player; you ban it for both players.
Oh, and okay, so it's like kind of like pick counter pick thing.
Yeah, but it's also like there's also some custom COs, but we're not gonna get into that unless you want to. Some of them are wacky.
No,
but
thank you.
No, thank you. Yeah, but yeah, guys and gals, that's all I have for now. If there's any more ideas I have with Elagatua, maybe I'll hit them up with it. But guys and gals, you all have my warmest regards. I'm Advanced Warrior.
I'm Elagatua.
And we will see you guys next time, I guess, if we're together. Bye. Goodbye. Before we go, I do want to say, imagine Isabella battleship getting +4 range.
Yeah, that seems really busted.
Yeah.